Yes, good afternoon, Kenyans, and welcome to my channel so that we deliberate on many other issues that just happen in this country since we had an opportunity last time to interact. There is another time that I will welcome back to my space ndio tuongee mawili matatu, and it's a good Friday, and I trust all of us have had a very busy week, and I think it's also another opportunity that we celebrate our weekend in a very special way. I'll have some few minutes with us to deliberate on some few issues of national importance. And I'll begin with appreciating the President for the obtained visitation to the Nyanza region, especially the side ya Jaluoni, because in most of the cases, it's just the other day he was there for 6 days, and I think he'll be there for another 4 days. So it speaks really for a committed leader that wants to transform that particular region at the expense of other regions, really. Because I would really imagine that as far as he advances that particular interest within that region, he also does that in an equitable manner across the entire region, the entire places of our region as a country. But that notwithstanding, it is what it is, and we must celebrate his efforts, because there are many things really that we've tried to imagine that is possible in this country, especially in terms of implementing projects, because we are being told of particular projects that have been done within a turnaround of 6 months, and it really that is in itself a committed effort by the government to ensure that that promise is achieved. But it speaks volume to a commensurate energy that is being done to the same projects in other places. Hii inamaanisha kwamba this country is capable of doing unimaginable if at all really we replicate that energy in other places. Kwa sababu if you look at many stadia and within that region, and even the affordable housing, talk about even the roads, talk about even the fish markets, all these institutions that this government has been able to implement within this time, they've had a broad-based engagement with Raila Odinga. You can imagine how massive they are. And inatuambia kwamba everything is possible when we have a committed government, when we have a goodwill from this particular people of implementation, particularly the executive. And it's from that point really that I want to say congratulations. Thank you, Raila, for bargaining well for your people. Thank you, Wanga. I've seen your spirited fight to ensure that your people really feel that urge ya kuhakikisha kwamba wamepata nafasi kwa serikali. Most of the people are saying these people have been marginalized for quite some time, but I've been traversing that region for some years. And I have to say, if you compare those people that have been in government vis-a-vis them, I want to tell you that there is much excitement with being in opposition than being in government, because ultimately the kind of development that they've received are very massive compared to those who want to purport that they are in government. So I want to give them a very special accolades, and I want to celebrate them in a very special way, because they have what it takes as far as people's interest is concerned. Kwetu huko, it's more of selfish-centric than people's interest. But it is what it is. We have less to say, and we want to say that thank you, Raila, for bargaining better for your people. And that is the spirit that we want to see in servant leadership. In most of the cases, people are still wondered why you still have, at your 80s, you still have a massive following. It's in this particular reason ya kuhakikisha kwamba ukipata nafasi watu wako wanafaidika. That is why those people would really wake up any other time and celebrate you as a person, because any other time you have an opportunity. The recent problem in Asaulika, and you chart a new pathway going into the future. That is a person in you, and we want to celebrate you. As for Orengo's and of course what it means in terms of 2027, all of us sisi tunajua Raila ndio life support ya hii serikali, and that is why hii serikali itapea chochote ambayo wanahitaji, even if it includes kuwapea the entire cabinet. The government is capable of doing that kwa sababu without them this government would never be here. So it's so strategic really that the president can any other time akikasirika anaenda pale Nyanza. It's so strategic, and it's common sense that ni wale ndio wanamkaribisha in a massive and bumping kind of celebration and excitement. Si kwingine ukienda ilikuwa Kikuyuni wakati ule, but it has completely changed. Rift Valley ukikuja huko mambo huko ni dilidala, unajua. It's no longer people are no longer excited like it was in the beginning, but the only place that you can find that particular excitement in Nyanza, and that is why the president can even do that, including even having his state Lonjuko na akae the entire, even hata kama ni the entire year, ile excitement ya urais atahitaji atapata pale. So we have to celebrate the Nyanza people for doing that, which it influences your life and it changes in its entirety the nature of life you've had before you got an opportunity to be in government. And you are so strategic, you know how to please the bosses, you know how to massage the ego, and ultimately your life is going to change. So that is really what I want to say. And of course there are many other happenings in the other peripheries. Like yesterday watu walikuwa Seikuru, and uko pia watu wanajipanga, and they're saying it's one term. To them, they know with the strength of the numbers they have, it's ultimately possible. And you saw the energies. Sisi tukimwimbichi Rigathi tulisema tamaliza 2 weeks atoke. Tukitoa mwingine alikuwa AG tulifikiria kwamba atachoka. But you see, when these desperate guys conglomerate together, ultimately you cannot underestimate the power, because behind them there are many people that are really feeling that this government has done less compared to the promise they made the people. And in any case, the rat will befell them when it comes to that decisive day, 2027. And I know, I've even seen what Galwale is saying, that we bargained for 30% in this government, but the 30% has gone to the other neighbors, Nyanza. This is a discussion across this country. Kwa sababu you see, hii serikali ilijengwa in a different engagement with different clusters of people. Nyanza, they had Nyanza hakuwa kwa mix, but I think they realized that that opportunities have come along their way in the wake of the new handshake and broad-based engagement. As for the Western people, what they complain, but I mean, what do you do? Because they are masters, hawana shida. The Prime Cabinet Secretary are comfortable. He's not complaining because his interests are well taken care of. The Parliament Speaker ako sawa, he's not complaining. So the people are left on their peripheries. They are complaining because they really feel that the 30% these people bargain is not coming through. And it is what it is, because ultimately you know the new partner has bargained better, and he has shown interest in terms of giving that which you could not provide yourself. So that is the reason as why the Western people itabidi mumenyamaza, mumetulia, muvumilie. It is the same case with the Rift Valley people. As for the Central, you already have a replacement. Nyanza people are going to replace you, and that is what exactly it is in this particular country. For Ukambani wanajuanga in any case wanakuanga in the opposition, kwa sababu Kalonzo has never delivered them to government. Is that the other day wakati wa Kibaki ndio alipata nafasi. So I think the biggest players in this case ni the Nyanza na Kikuyu. So it depends on who is going to come out strongly to ensure that they do that which is going to favor their people. It's not about the community interest. The only person that has demonstrated agitation for taking care of the community interest in Raila. As for the other players, mimi sijaona, I'm yet to feel one. So I really want to say that there is a lot really as the people that we need to put our leaders responsible. Nilisikia rais juzi akisema samahani for the young people for whatever wrongs. Unfortunately, he did not point out the wrongs. But you see, it's from this point that he felt that there are many things that are going astray. Na hivyo ndio alisema I'm sorry. And it is out of the preachings and the teachings kutoka ule pastor ndio alifeel ya kwamba there are many things really that are must apologize. If you listen to the contents of that particular pastor, alisema mimi niko na majenzi and these Gen Z people wako na point. Alisema niko na daktari na niko na psychologist na niko na somebody financial influencer. Alikuwa anasema kwamba when I have issues in that particular regards, this Gen Z ndio ananisaidianga. So yeye mwenyewe ali appreciate Gen Z na alisema kwamba if there is anything that has gone astray, then this Gen Z must be called on board so that we provide solutions to the Kenyan problems. And that is how the president found himself apologizing. I don't know. I'll not be a harsh judge to really say that the nature of that apology was forced in nature. That one, I don't have the audacity. But I just want to say Kenyans have reacted and they are saying it wasn't a sincere apology. And we want to say, really, that the Gen Z are partakers of this government. And they are central because they elect these particular people. And if they did not then, they are going to do it again. And going into the future, this country is theirs. And therefore, it's so naive for anybody to really imagine that whatever agitation Gen Z are pushing are in any case things that are out of excitement. The issues they are raising then, because at some point the leadership acknowledged that whatever issues they are raising are legitimate issues and we must speak into them. And it's from that point really that we all accepted the fact that these people have got a say in terms of what they are pushing for. But things changed because really we wanted to circumvent around the political persuasions so that we cloud the entire positions they were saying. And it is here we are as a country. It's no longer about what they were saying, but any other time an issue arises, we want to incline them to a particular political persuasion so that we lose the content. Because I still believe when we bring these people onto a discussion on basis of issues, none of them will stand up. That is why we must really peg them to a particular persuasion. So that is where we are as a country. And before I have a closure of this entire discussion, I would really want to switch to a local dialect because there are many people that are telling me we speak our local issues. And it's going to be disadvantageous to my massive following from the other part of the country that spare with us, because at least at some point we want to have our in-house issues, because I still believe that before we get to the national interest, there must be a beginning, and the beginning is this particular local dialect. But before I switch there, kuna issue ambayo imefanyika pale ya Salasha. Na Salasha ametolewa mbio pale Mosoriat. Mosoriat ni eneo ya Nandi. And I still believe that Salasha since declare interest yake ya kupigania governor urais, mimi sijaamini ya kwamba he has the honors to really play a vital role kwa kumtoa urais wa sasa. But anyway, you don't really dispel on that basis alone, kwa sababu unajua mtu akiamka na ambitions zake hautamnyima nafasi, because the constitution gives them a right. So Salasha ametolewa mbio, and I really felt that was not justified. And I still believe that we are so pedantic as a country, because we cannot be fighting everything, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Why should we as a country? Because there are particular issues really that I still believe this country can really focus on. And these are the massive issues that can revitalize the status of this country. But the government has completely lost track on those particular issues that affect the massive following in the country, and really get into non-issues. Kwa sababu, how do you then really tear gas Salasha? Who is Salasha? So you're giving him the necessary attention he was looking for, because ultimately, positive or negative popularity, yote ni sawa. But that is unfortunately how it has been. That is the fate of Salasha. Ametolewa mbio hapa Mosuriat. But mimi najua alitolewa kwa sababu the local leadership felt that we must not betray our own. At the expense ya democracy. Democracy inasema hata huko Western tutaenda kwa tuombe kura na hatutatolewa mbio. It's our expectation that hatutatolewa mbio. So I don't know at what point that we really feel that it's high time that we must engage in such pedantic issues to such an opportunity that we are dealing with Salasha in such a ruthless manner to mtoe na tear gas. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So your thoughts on affordable housing, we can invest on it or no? Talam, it's a choice. It's a choice really. Kwa sababu, you see, ideally, affordable housing ilikuwa inafaa address the slums issues. Inafaa deal na watu wenye wako slums. Kwa sababu, ultimately, Kenyans, though it's an ambitious plan, because when we talk about having an agricultural land, a commercial agricultural land, it's entirely a wise idea really to invest in affordable housing, kwa sababu we need to have a clustered kind of engagement, watu wakae mahali moja ndio kwingine ilimwe. But if you look at what's happening really, ideally ilikuja ikasemekana ukichangia ndio utafaidika nayo, but it changed along the way ikakuwa a levy whereby everybody, especially watu wenye kwa public service or control walipie, and ultimately when you wanafaidika na, it's a complete different from those who contribute. That is a complete turnaround of the spirit of that particular affordable housing. But mimi kitu nasema tu, it's a matter of choice, kwa sababu it's not going to work well kwa rural setup, kwa sababu watu wengi wanaishi kwao. Mimi ningefikiria kwamba the government need to invest much energy on ensuring that people wako na pesa in their own disposals, so that waamue manyumba yenye wanaishi, so that we leave this particular engagement in affordable housing to a private sector, kwa sababu we are grappling with many other issues ambazo ingehitaji a national attention. But unfortunately, government has concentrated in that which is meant for a PPP, you know, a private partnership engagement, or achieve the private sector. Because ultimately, what's going to happen kwa wale watu ambao wakona private institutions, the landlords. And another thing, when we are talking about affordable housing, tulifikiria kwamba affordable in itself inamaanisha affordable. But as we speak, you know, the affordability part of it is no longer that which we stood for. So there are many gaps that we need to close. I saw yesterday the president alisema kwamba amekutana na Raila na amedonate 5 acres. And I had to say, somebody was saying it was just an abrupt issue. Out of the excitement ya baba, akasema I want to donate my 5 acres. And we invested. From that point in time, the moment we realized that there is this particular 5 acres that has been donated to us, we are investing another 3 something billion Kenyan money, you know, to that particular guy's affordable housing. What are we saying? We need to be so prudent in how really we engage this thing, because we are talking about tenant purchase, a kind of agreement whereby you as a tenant, you purchase that particular facility, notwithstanding the fact that it's located in a public land. There is no particular procedure. There is no clear procedure on how that particular engagement is going to happen. So that as we get into the future, all these loopholes must be sealed. So mimi ningefikiria kwamba sasa Raila kwa sababu alidonate ile shamba yake, ningekuwa mzuri ya kwamba that which is necessary, could transfer that private land into a public land, ikwe well taken care of, so that we refute this belief that Raila anajengewa ile kitu inaitwa retirement benefit kwa sababu sasa yeye ni partner in this government. So there are many loopholes the government must seal. Na lakini kitu nasema, the government must empower the private sector. I saw something, you say ideally there is CPF, there are many other players in this particular engagement, ya public, affordable housing. But it is still a misery. Hakuna kitu clear in terms of the fate of it after even the Ruto's presidency. Inakwanga ya kwamba it's always better if we seal these things with a clear policy, so that any other president that comes in the future anakuwa na clear plan. Unaona? Kwa sababu it's well guided in the constitution. We ingrain that particular clause in our constitution so that it becomes a binding issue. But as we speak, it's a political narrative. It still remains a political narrative, and in most of the cases, those who are contributing are not beneficiaries of this particular issue. So that public service, public servants are working on this. They are no longer on this particular issue. Kwa sababu they still believe that the contributions are in vain. You see, inafaa ukichangia ufaidike nayo. So mimi kitu nasema tu, you can equally try. Maisha ni kurisk. Wewe nunua nyumba yako. Whatever happens in the future, ujue ya kwamba umeishi kidogo. Chochote itakuwa tu sawa. But I don't want to send you shivers. Staki nisema kwamba there are many things that interrogate well. Get a clear understanding on how this thing is going to be sustained going into the future. But the basic thing is the mambo ya housing. Watu wawekewe pesa kwa mfuko, kila mtu ataamua nyumba ya kujenga. That is my belief on that particular position ya affordable housing. And if you look at the energy that the government is investing in this particular issue, there is something exciting. I know it's going to be a legacy project, William. But it should be coming up together na zile zingine. Unaona? But unfortunately, that is the nature of what we are having. The laws parliament should give clear guidelines in the issue. Parliament is no longer independent as it was. In fact, what they are driving is a political agenda ya presidency. In fact, parliament hawajui, most of our politicians hawajui Kenya wanafanya pale parliament. That is why wakati affordable housing ilichukuliwa kotini, the court ruled unconstitutional, So it's from that point that we really must tell our parliamentarians to rise to the occasion and ensure that they have laws that are going to protect our people, because you cannot invest your billions on a project that is going to be elephant in the long run. So that is really what we want to say. So like I promised, I would have marched to our local politics. Na wale watu ya nyumbani, siasa yetu ndaongea wasingi. Okay, siasa yoyote ambayo mtahitaji as far as our local politics is concerned. And I'm sorry for the massive supporters I have nikikosa kuongea Kiswahili ama Kiingereza kwa sababu nataka niongee Kikale kidogo. Dada Ngugi wa Thiong'o ame left. Na wakati Ngugi ame left, kuna zile maneno ambayo alisema it's slavery to speak other foreign languages at expense ya nyumbani. Na akasema it's empowerment to start from home ukienda kwingine. So allow me today, for the first time I'll be dealing with local issues. Na nataka tuseme, maybe you can drop your comments ndio tuseme which particular agenda do you want us to discuss in this particular code ya siasa yetu ya nyumbani. Kwa sababu wakati mwingi tumekuwa na shida, by the way. Na shida ni when people rise to speak about local issues. Unajua sisi kuna slavery fulani imefanyika kwetu. Kuna ile kitu inaitwa brainwashing. Ile ya ule jamaa Mackenzie ilifika huko pia kwa siasa. And that is how politicians thrive. Kwa sababu they have brainwashed you to such a point that you can no longer stand to reason independently. Na hiyo ndio shida tuko nayo kama watu wa nyumbani. Kwanza mimi kuna issues nataka nianze nayo. Ngaleki bobo chikibanga tabaragoi. There is a statement Nani was seeking, Sunkuli was seeking from the Minister of Interior. Minister of Interior, tunajua ni ministry yetu, pick up ka. Ungen chike nata kole Ministry of Interior, ko ministry nenyonet. Our Ministry of Interior, ko it's a very massive ministry, ne suppose keboishe ke protectan interest chebo government. Government go William at this point in time. Kibin ngale en kangata, and it was so unfortunate, amu gimuko suppose ke itioto ko kiemet. Ko kikamabesho ale kiat kinye ko kibit shida eng nyumba in Mau Forest. Aki kakipromisen as the leadership nekiba kasaratak ko ki deputy president. Obwoti ole kibit ngalechatak way back ko minister ko prime minister Raila Odinga. Awenende nikamwa kole mangu biik eng Mau Forest. Agenye ke conserve that Mau Forest amu it is in the interest of the environment guy ko not. Keun biik kya kibagutit. Ko kingonyone kura ya ni 2013 Raila ko kikisach on that particular basis amu kisakwe biik kya kibaga. Inhumanly. You know. Ko kinyarabruta kole my friends amuite amutu ke kiya ko kimangen. Akimata yani amite kandoinatet. Laini kasarata kimami kandoinatet. Now ogone kandoinatet ko rubeiwotab president. Ko president Arap Kenyatta. Akiagishan kele tuguk tugul chemagatin chebo biikab kutit eng kajangan biik chebo Mau, biik chebo Kipkurere, biik tugul chekimite Mau Forest. Kikoch nafas komengis koke. Kibit that program. Aginyo ko implement and with the massive approximately this approximation approximately a budget ngiba over 10 billion chekibaishe serikali ko compensate those people. Ngano manyor tugul lakini ginyor matwet. But all that would not withstand ko gimanishan kole kingo same kura president ni minguno ko atkinya ko rubeiwot ko kisam on that basis kole mocham jibijomo ko nyalela. Ko kingenam kandoinatet 2013 na 2022 ko makibit those issues. Engajangan issues chebo mbarene. Engajangan big up ka. The attachment with the people from home. Na kongenam kandoinatet ko president William Jitap ka nekingen tugul ikaseke psikisha ukaseke nandie kobit issue yumba angata. The reincarnation of the Mau afflictions ko kobit yumba angata. We lost our people. Ko kingobit loss of our people ko magon apology the president. Because he was conflicted. He was conflicted. Allow me to use this. He was conflicted in a way that Congo ndago tieme president go na an issue or a statement in that particular accord kogota inflicting issues with the Maasai people, which are the new partners in this particular political dispensation. Kengalali go na president ko a new partner with a new partnership with Maasai. Amu most of the Maasai we have chikura odiem. But now with the handshake na mite go goyagishan Gigi Senator Nimba Narrow College, we are going to work together going in the future. And this particular issue Navambareta Bangata ko one of the issues say motive in itself. That is why the president could not speak. There was some sparks again of outbursts in our CS never comment at that point in time. And all of us condemned because ideally Kogi condemned and the entire population for turning against that which is he believed that it was constitutional. Like you have a clear pathway. In fact, it was against the position of a constitution. It was against the position of a Sharia. Now there was a proclamation. Number 2, askari kigomite oto get transferred to other regions. So go na fast investigate then tugu kiko gon shidet na go biting yung bangat. Ne boy ko kiga ko shin gemnye kele gibendi ga investigation ne gure conclusive investigation sigen tebege ge go bit ne sigi bit about more than 5 people. Because most of the killings I give it ko targeted killings, shoot to kill. Kigibir big meto egresasis. So there was a program, there was a request in court in parliament, what is the status of this particular issue? What are we saying? I want to talk about those particular 2 issues, Nevangata and even the issue in our father, Lois. Koin Manenya metalage? CS ko nenyanet, CS Neva Interior ko nenyala kwetapka. Ningen si deshe jugubune tukul. When people rise, especially big apka, como sabos que complain ni amogin gengele nenya serikali. Lakini kinigitebege ko galia serikali ko lukye jewu. En kasarta neuni nekibune kewelutik chebo maendeleo, kalya mamoitaiwech en kasarta nebo kalyet kokone kalyet kemuite agoi betut yekanyo kochobwech tuguk chekiamisien. Amu kongo promise ngalechatak ko it is so clear that up to date ko makitransferen DC, makitransferen police, and up to date ko mamiten akekure expeditious investigation the problem chekibit en Kang'ata. Keng'ololi Father Lois nekobar bandits ko koyan bandits, in fact koyan the residents of that particular area kole kingen chito nekobar Alois. But up to date kotom ke producing that particular person, and we are so silent about it. And whatever that is happening, if we don't really concentrate as the people, we might concentrate as the people from this region, we are going to wage a war amongst ourselves. And ultimately, that was a targeted attack, especially on Father Alois. That was a targeted attack, especially on the people of Barangay. And the government is so silent on this. I've seen two incidences clear that there is no commitment. Number one, in MP Kasipur, Mavik 3 days go apprehend the assailants. Because the government go keep piecing together every available information. Kasipur, where? Kenambi. The government invested every energy in investigating the conclusion. Issues self-abduction. But when it comes to issues, there is some sort of laxity. Pick up car. In the best interest in any nyatogol. Agoye magitwegu kokorom kasit. Ago gerge ngalejuto agot in security issues to even the development issues. Amulu ga inele wanekandoinatet nemiten nguno kekere kele tos kolkol, kikere kele tos sansany, kikere kele tos une chichi sige approaching in terms of the energies nekyoe. Amui I'm imagining if there were the other people from the other region, what kind of engagement, what kind of energy the government would be investing on this particular issue. Kamete ke sam gang big case subi akikase ke sam kando inatet nemite keleji makitinye kimnatet ke protectan ke ai ke trustana oyo tarete janyon simat ki luki ke simutai ke kupunyi kyo within ourselves ke am ke abota. That is exactly what we are requesting. Ultimately, I concentrate as the people. Kikoji nafasi agure side shows. Kebendi creating a very bigger weight amongst ourselves as the people. Amuge ngalali gingi as the conversation negimianga tagelen mi nandie kiginam gongete ke ole ko bangata. Kelen mi tebi kiginame gongete ke baringo gemut ko bangata. In fact, je kurege nandie ke bangata. If you listen to that particular conversation, in fact, I was hosting a TikTok conversation, and most of the Kipsigis were saying, my friends, issues, because ultimately, especially because there is a feeling that this Nandie go meet in government and they are being used to perpetrate an heinous act against these people. The same thing to in thought. The feeling these people spies. Before we get there, those people in government. Otarete samagi loki gay, generiki kega, pika porogeta, mugiba serum mageng. I'm alleging go spiral into 2027. Pitong alejata kamui feel ni kabilo shekalaga jebo engine golem magi part and parcel of this government. So that is my humble request. And by showing ko jang to kiba by showing kikingen gele things are not well aligned in Golebka. And there are mega projects amejang alale. Amu mega projects is go trans county and see another county at the best interest of the other counties. Kamecheke mabi kyagele yagitarete William or and gebubi che masajengele. Masajengele in such a way that chigumwa be kogera kigumwa gemba. Most of the people who are inboxing you generally more quill. But when they are in public, my friend, you are against this government. I'm not against the government, but I'm against the operations of the government because the government is no longer living into the promises. There is a complete abrogation of a position the batuke Mr. Ruto to Kanguno. And it's from that point now, Mr. Magil and got Comagil William Akimanda. Ko 2027 or Randara. I will be Kenya Jenga General, a Mugi Moja Magas. A Quaquega to Britannia wood mediocrity. A Mui can't get much William Geleja, our friend. Magitina president, by the way. The only president getting William. Magiga William, that is why he calling him out any other time. Can't get much William Gelejo Yarino, Kajaleon by Shunungulevka. Kongalega by Shunungulevka go mele in Paishonica Generale. Paishonica Vigabur. Kagamagela. Pay Kyogi Bagare. Chicha to Jamie the Mulango, was supposed to benefit and was in issue, Nandi of Queto Limbaga Mega. In that you Kundo Kia Messigi to the second phase again, JGB. Kongaleja to go mail it out at the general. A mine I vaguely tight again. Women. Pay Kyunto will go out at the big Aburuchiba, the entire constituency. Kagamagi Laura to make a miss on time. For the record, Dungo Limbanyanza go, deliver not at within a bracket never 1 year, never handshake. Ingolip kaje gigi miski laona with particular episode your rat and wegi sige deliver on time. Conanity seta. On this particular issue of affordable housing, King Olalingu Nagasho, Ale Tutugin, Nandi Akemite you, Tutugin Gipsigi Shekemito, Tutugin Merqueta Kemito, Tutugin big up Kayo Jemito, to go subscribe unto that particular interest in about Cory. Kugamagi, the big am Nandi get in Yusra no shake your gargan, meaning got jet cashagood, Tarate, Golimba, Sigete Kigari, Kimakinig, Agin the age of conduct school, Sigi Sape big afka. Kumele Kagama from that point of ignorance, Kagama from that point of no interest. So, Kogamese Magil took you to will get more in the best interest in a bagger to get Maguti King Makinige. Ahin Kokilava Tarabuta Yumba Western. I forgot a bonus never me way. King Olali Matwit never keep kill Matwit never bomb me. Matwit never Nandi. Matwit never was English. Matwit never transfer ya big Kibaguti. Google me way, like in a man, this particular interest in a van. Never bonus never me way. What are we saying? We are saying so that from this point of view, segregation as the people. Because president go me to go Kimakin Ganandia. Me to go Kimakin get big up of segis. Me to go Kimakin get big up you. Big up Kaja was a get to gig a bedrock. Gandra and attention about 2022 because I'm a president. When are you going to bargain for all this and Angola Gamoite? Kuhuga sama lengut ko mo sa umitayo si desha 2027 ko that is better. But the problem si facing as the people ko the problem si facing ni real time. Pitura mo tago bitutungwa. Shida ne bagando ina tetungu na ko ma aware ko le shida se kipune ko shida shek. Chengo magiri bege ko shida se ki affecta ne gore ya tap to. These are the real issues that we must speak into as a people. Otherwise ngoto si ago aga general ko mo ngale kwa go torito pigaburu. For the entire 10 years. 10 years, in fact, I'm telling you, 5 years is almost gone. The fast 5 years. But come again, fast 5 years. You got the promotion over the second 5 years. And more ideally, it's a stepping stone. You got to go na fast. You got to go na fast. You got to give it the next class. That is the law. But unfortunately, as the people, we are no longer cognizant to that particular issue. But they not to take negative. Achike man ngele kibiga bro rongebiro utkicho. At expense of what? At expense of what? Jaluogo giga mat kinyo boti kingo bire saburiye traila. Kongo sane maandamano. Kugile jarabu tanga mayu kwa ni saburiye tang maandamano jago traila jo. Tugu ke sabos ke ago ke bambare kibatishe. Kulongen bambara muga go na posbet. Kulenge bambara mu kwa telbe ita ben amane. Onge bembar gibotishi amu ultimately tugu kenye go solve any problem nigi gitinye nigi baga sarata nigi ba cost of living ko paishoni ke ka go iraya kingo taraila go bire saburiet kolle ak maganga nguwanja ko gimita o jerema gion ke go raila gele shida ngone akwa ke ko bembar magaswaki ko gamechi ke magele. What exactly do we stand for as a people, especially from this region? We must stand for a cause. Amuluga inelo wanerabutai kugibwati gele tukuk jigi amisi ko chelewa nati. Ora tunai dulje bagorenyo ko mamya tayanga nigiga mani yole nyande ilamin ko ginde. Stimeto gorenyo to basho antataba. The same issues to our academia. Kingolali nguna school fees kichangani amugi another program negiba in revitalization of university model. Ko the same issues affect angilamut. The household fees chekichongoni, it's double what some of us used while we were in universities. These are the issues now that I'm going to information about those institutions. In get institutions, the other kill it in a meti, I gave no limbaga, Kivuno limbanande, or you might die with moderate Kivoga, no very gabeloshagal. The why go not a president, I'm getting an issue. But Ngamayo pick up car. Ungeja meji. Achige magele na nige makinege. Singe tosi titemate sabe, king tosi with issues. Age ngetosi amone, amuging and gelepote, and we rukurayan. Tamuga the sago uni. Itakuwa mbaya. Amui paisioni tulo woro. Kita kiniko masi ulimba Nyanza. Nigerwa ngoligerwa coast. Nigerwa ngoligerwa tuluani. Tuno yage bata go bigapka. Anana kwega go voting machines. Amoti issues man disabos of my hotel. Because you are MPC go in the law and they are no longer speaking. Amungen go lay, Giga Magando na tet college vaga ai to amate. Umaje go ngala yuang. Emangaros anano mejo malo moti nyeshida. Umaje gaji ngele maiti nyeshida. Ngolimbaga kogo iwe. Kawe galda siling yatato. Ulungwange alda yata. Chai ngolimbaga kogo iwe. Ko bonus ko siling 70 kwa ta. Ulungwanga siling ata. Chiga ngolimbaga kogo kutinda bonus. Siling ata ngolungwango. Kagering finance bill meje introduce nguno ketes taxes ngamitwa gaptoga. Ngani gole toga. Ngani bai toga lage. Kagemagele meje ketes taxes ang jagure inputs siya agriculture nga kabatinde to bikyo o medyo ngalalda iwo. Now when we speak about this particular issues or aguya magorekta ni kando na det amuanga na le final ngajilin ki umesanen ko 2027 mengete ibiragura gut ko mera ga bishan chite ne bune kando na det nguno ko mauya ge sam jara bruta gobat ko some of us we are correcting because we still believe that this particular government, if it's going to restructure, but then the expectations of Ayagutundo in this particular government. That is why most of the people are still believing that William Samoei Ruto is capable of delivering this government. But with this kind of excitement, I'm telling you guys, you are going to flop. 2027, look. I'm going to be nation of Apro, of other Kabelas. Nation of these other people. Kona reach in Raila. Kugura Rabuta Raila, legible issues, Nagabsan image. Akwega Josi Stosi, go me to Neura Rabuta, Gagera an engagement, the Vaplu economic in Olalirani. Up to billions. Kongeteaganya Rabuta, Legura, Kibabur, Gilija, Mongalequa. Amuya nera bruta goleve, Chicosisia, Quamdesistos, Quaque Valdosu, work of a messet, and Muja get Chibaldosu, Comucho communicating to other people, I got a ripple effect, Ganda Naten. Now continue big silent, Namutamia. You are making a lot of sense, bro. No watu viongozi wamelala na pia sisi wenyewe wish most of our people to wake up and speak up. Habari mpendwa, usikubali uteseke nani Allah na written. Ulicho tapelio akwera. Atutagiyo. Cyrus. Mganga. Leano aganga hivi. Ngote ba blogen jutaje. Kameja moyo wakpeka kaleja okay? Ungengeti agekaso. Majamaki magijamge. Majamaki magijamshide shekigitinye. Majamaki maigonu a clear pathway in the future. Angotosi shi agotat kinya bwati ngasarta baramo. Kochang bigibel banyin kigejam ko bendi ko pasage. Ko pasage taba nyun. Ya paske taba nyun keba ge moile toriat keleja mege olimbaga. I'm telling you, Girobashoni, in 24 years, come commensurate with the kind of attention in Gijamgo Biga Ramo. A movie Kachang, Gijamguri, Kinaramo, Majingolizin Jamega Lepurka. Now, we are going to replicate this in even the entire 10 years. Sigitin Jabaganda and Atetomo. Chibara Bruto. A mumos of Prorio Shagalaga. Era Nani, Kamaja Magalezagi. Kageunya kubani go kageunya te kubani aginge same go rago isame viet ko la ases kalya mago ne jok kinyal jin amugi lebani taxes ko bi kala kalya ngo ipororio shegala gi ko jin. The problems with you when we are live or chemo birusi boshi because just relax so that we will get back once we get to this discussion. Kamija monara Arab kemba lejini masabos ke ongate ke onyet kubani masabos ke onwet paishoni ko bange kimeche kekone kolala asis ako tuguk chekisame komelen tuguk akot chelelachen kimeche ketorwech chekikakiyomiset kimeche kakishan kele oratinwek chekikibudgetan chemi under budget nebo work in progress kisuldaywech chelelachen keung'ate kounoto ako ngotochome Nandi keung'ate kounoto and you really want to clap. Most of the people are meddling with our networks. I don't know why. So, suppose kounotok and as the light class kemeche kemwachi kandoinatet kelechi kimeche boishonik kyok bet kolala asis ako boishonik chekitebe koma the extremes kisame tuguk kyochin biik alak sikeku equals. You are not on affordable housing. I've said this Chirchir senior. If you can be able to advance one, you can do that. But there is no clarity in this particular future of these issues. The problem is there is no constitutionality in this particular issue. Again, what's happening? This thing is done in the best interest of the constitution. But as we speak, any other person that comes in the future can even jeopardize the relationship never housing. That is the issue. But what we are saying is, and my view, I'm affordable housing, the private sector. Kenam jepkondo kiatai boisien affordable housing, revitalize and infrastructure je oratinwek, sipitali, kechob ibe akinde jepkondo sukul. Sukul clear. Ke build jepkondo kemutai kokone kimnatet ketekyike korik kyok chekimakchinige. So that is really what I will say in my reservation as a person that is interest akot eng korichoto. As of many people, many things I know. Biik chebunu Uasin Gishu otinye issues ak kandoinatet nebo Uasin Gishu. Biikab Nandi otinye issues ak kandoinatetab Nandi. Ako these things are going to happen even beyond 2027. Do you know why? Kwakase biik kolejina comment something about the Nandi future, because that is where I come from. Ko future nebo gubernatorial position of Nandi kwane ko mameche ngalale missing amu Nandi's people, especially across board by the way, ko Nandi people have never gotten an opportunity to elect the person of their choices. Most of the people ngikas Nandi indet kolen makwayano, but they are in position. What's happening? Because we have mad trust on the party position jeba conmanship. Kandoinatet nebo chamait yete kote you worship ni chamait ko you are not going to get it right going into the future. Number two, ko yete go to kwamwani a certain quarter kandoinatet nikikwechi Nandi ko it doesn't matter the person you support. That's why we no you support ni Cynthia mi jebara amele inyo Uasin Gishu mi jebara bito mi jebagoti mi jebawerta ni Nairobi ni State House inyo the same thing to Bomet mi jebara keter mi te jeba transform itasago unoto the same issue to Kericho, all those issues the same issue to Baringo. And to tell you, it doesn't matter the person you support. Because ultimately, the people do not have the audacity and the power to elect their leaders of their choices. In most of the cases, it is being decided by the particular quarter. Maybe sheptin maganda na tet na maji, mi jito negigote mungu ya ningen gole, ganda na tet up to the mark to sabe, awe 2032 kwane na control ni. A remote control and Egypt kondo aga create na gure machinations in terms of narratives. Angal bi gabaroriet ko kway gando intetnem agot ndaga amugo mite matinda standings in the community. Kekwe. What we want to say as the people, and I want to steal you as a tip off, going into the future 2027 ongiagishan gele agisat kibel banyinik ya shepchin makandoinatet sikekwe kandoik chechoget amu ultimately kandoinatet nenyi kwe as a people nekakiogun from a certain quarter ko kandoinatet nenyi kuserve an interest of those particular certain quarter matinda people's interest amu in any case ko my propel and that particular person. So what we want to say as a people across board kongiagishan gele people konyor that particular power nebo kwe kandoinatet makinge across board kongetege MC akoi governor. Amu kinangen ko kandoindet ne kararan ko na mameche biik fulani. Kandoindet na chame biikab boror amatindoi kimnatet. In fact ngiro na kipire missing inai ile kandoindet noto. Lakini na kichame missing ne chame biik fulani idai ile noto ko kibel banyit ne meche konyokogochi kowek eut magarek kikiliane chikifinancani. That is the problem we have as the people. So it doesn't matter the person you are supporting for either position, because ultimately most of the people do not make decisions on basis of who they want to elect. People must regain back the capacity and power. Until that is realized, that is why in Nairobi, particular people. Itete the same thing to Kajiado, same thing. Itete to Kiambu, same thing. Nakuru, same thing. Nandi, same thing. Uasin Gishu, same thing. For how long? And I want to say this. Now that we are complaining of precedents, I want to give you the reason as to why we have a problem as a people in terms of complaining in terms of the fact that Tom Genyoru tugu kiamech kimaendeleo. Because the presidency go in the high stakes. Kiki can after presidency go retaining over 85% of the total revenue of Kenya. Ndagitinye kimnatet serikalit akotindoi nakure goodwill ke dispensan chepkondok over 30% or even 40% koba counties. Makitinye interest akot ak nandaope. Makitinye interest akot ak nenyo Mariat sijui nenyo emet. That will be neither here nor there. Kwa sababu ultimately we'd be able to get whatever we want from the counties. So until going into the future, the discussion must oscillate around that president candidate. Netinda interest nebo ko empower nebo counties, ke empower counties, siko tarete counties amu kingen gele issues che jaget chebo ka ko issues che kimuchi ke solve ni ka decentralize and power. Lakini ete ko tikinde Nairobi ko that is why mo ke valya ko ba William. That is why mo ke valya ko ba MP. Lakini ndaka kipchite ko ba counties. Ati kakishan gele nyoru the right candidate ngolip county ni kakishan gele ribwe tuguk kyak tutukin choto kakobit kongete Nairobi. Kenyoru boisionik tugul kiundurwech oratinwek, sukulishek komukakse kwak, hospitalishek tugul komukakse kwak. Kyakure primary agendas chebo raia kimugulmet. Unfortunately, this government is not capable of doing that. Any other government going in the future, even in the past, I have never demonstrated a wish to ensure that is granted. Because of why? The reason is very obvious. Amumeje ko accumulating power ak wealth. Chegiume kongetege our tax regimes. So kwamjige. From the 85 casually over 30% go bendi lalatunwe gapi. Ko the rest gerevege scramble. So that is a problem we have. And until we realize that, because the problem is complaining now and going into the future. So that is really what I wanted to have. We'll continue delving into many of the other issues as they emerge. On affordable housing, issue missing. Affordable housing are major institutions of institutions because in doing so, those students, the facilities here with us. I think in the Jepkondo, I asked to take a menjet and would take a got the marking. Koi Naleka Javaga, Kingen Gele Togos Vanda. Congetagos Vanda, Galasema, or at Massive Gumi, a big abroad. Kagishan Gele to go to Kariga, look at Jamagotin getting. Kariga, look at Jamagotin, King get the Tanxerale, give a gap Kenyata. Koyenga sarata wiga empower piki. Suko piki givejin luge tarap Kenyata go big apka. Kwagera inking gavira kuyatara bruta abwan ngale nega vitat kinyan garibu 205. Kitungavira bruta ngolinge moag chabet ngolimboin. Kumaga senior chief nyandusi nani nyacha. Agineric Sabiga Borna, if I remember, then go in Eric Sabiga Bor. Kineric Sabiga Bor of Colango Langa Guequijina, Lenny Gavira Bruta Kuyata, you know, Maneric Sabika. In fact, it is slided in most of the people. Imanishanene, given the avatar, Colasamago Gilgara Bruta, Coleka in crane and that which has been lost. In terms of Konyorna Guru loyal supporters, Ningets at Sagi Lejo Mangu Mangavama. Cokerka Kando in a tetul limit in Nepka. Kando Kando to limiting a jarret and Golevka. Gabkan Kando Lagina Matinda influence. Magaseviga got Kongma. Miga Ando got to meeting a jarret, Lagina Mingan people meeting a jarret, particularly does. A more protection of our interest in our Gando in a tet committee on the people. Chibai Meni. That is why Kingolinguna, Koganyor number, Sergade, Amugo Telel Sagoga, Legimete. The same thing go watch Ugamba and go let you about the little Sagalons. Could the same thing is supposed to acquire a bruta. Amusa, I got into all what the text of bruta, Asian Goleka influence. Every loyal Nemite in game money, and Gajang and Nebunoga. Nengo Telela bruta, gave Wizard of Bruta Golomita, Gonorecto Swiki. He must do that. 2027 kuma mijagilen sympathy kingo mat kinya golo ati meja varna la o golang dikeja 2027 mami ngaleja tagamu ara bruta min power Kimeche keteb Arap Ruto 2027 kele koiyai ne nekikiamis nekoiamis amayai 2027. Singebire kura kebire kosubkei ak amune nebo boisionik chekilya chekisuldae. So that is the basis really nekimeche keboishe as the people from this region. Kwa musa ai kotomo koelewan kole our loyalty must not be taken for granted. Ko biik kerikyin omwachi olechi nerekyotin biik ako nyalildos biikab gaa. King'ololi nguno ngot kokas tuguk chekamwa biikab Jaluo ko kamwa from the bottom of my heart amu kokeyochi tuguk tugul chekikiamis kandoinatet. Kwa kweke tuguk tugul chekikiamis kandoinatet ngot komi akot agenge nekakisuldae omwoiwo amu mongen. For the SHA ko kararan SHA, but there are nitty-gritties chema-addresseni serikali. In fact, the pilot project, na kure legacy project nebo shetu Arap Ruto 2027 ometa affordable housing. Affordable housing nande komasavani the purpose amu biik chechang chemite kotindo siroineshek kwak bendi gaa biik chechang. Makoi nyo town nyeng'etin unless ibun olelo. Biik chenyokwale korik chebo affordable housing ko lemek chechang matuyet ak biikab kabilosiek alak. Lakini nandindet makoi mang'tindiret konyokwale affordable housing. Kitinye priorities chechoket chebo biikab gaa che suppose kelya kinde tai kechobwech oratinwek ak tuguk alak. Now for SHA angen ale pilot project nemoe koboisie Arap Ruto 2027. Lakini there are many things ameche ka-addressen eng SHA. Number one ko outpatient. Outpatient services ngitete hospitali netai kotomo kekerin iwe cho kikure ward. Ko lazima kekerin eng outpatient yo. Ititepkei biman korotik, itite itil receipt, ititepkei kebirun x-ray, kebirun CT scan, kebirun ultrasound, kebirun tuguk tugul chemokotin eng kolesa. As we speak, ko outpatient services ko makavani SHA. That is not the problem we have. Ako ngot komi lekibeti chepkondok chechang koyoto kikure outpatient amu kimeche keyai investigation sikiro ngot iwendi gaa anan iwendi ward. Keng'ololi nguno eng Kapsabet kwa mfano, ko kit nelipani SHA mising ko kitanda. Malipani tuguk chun tugul amu tuguk chun tugul cheking'ololi ko kerichek. Ko kerichek chechang ilipanchinigei. Kitandet nguno kolipani SHA. Inyo nguno aya the small procedures alak chekaai daktari in fact ilipani daktari ko through SHA. Lakini tuguk tugul kerichek kwa mfano last time ko kiatinye patient eng olimbo hospital. I was paying 2,000 shillings per day ale kerichek. For 7 days kikilipan 14,000. Ko kikoyosise baadaye ale torete ine SHA ini kakalya makicheng'a comprehensive cover nekilipani 2,000 per month kotorete 24,000 in a year ko ngoname ugonjwa akot 1 month akelipan 2,000 per 1 month. I mean every day jakilipani kespendani 2,000 every day kwa konde kespendani 60,000 ketinye a comprehensive cover ne private komuchi kotorete. These are the logics chebitu in a situation nekitinye shida nebo kerichek eng hospitalishek. Now the problem nemite akongen serikali ko number one ko KEMSA ko public institution ako suppose ko main supply nebo kerichek. Noton netegemeane counties. Matindo capacity nebo kodeliver kerichek on time. Matindo capacity nebo kodeliver kerichek to all institutions in the entire country. What remains now ultimately ko raia to go buy their medicine and in fact the subscription nebo every day nebo every month in chepkondokab SHA ko cheaper than the medicine cheiole every day. Those are the issues really that we want the government to address. So that as we get into 2027, kung keboishe legacy project, keboishe nagure an absolute affordable universal health cover. So kergei chito na kasi. In fact, king'ololi nguno kemwa Arap Ruto kole ame kergei chito na kasi ak nemae kasi ngalekab konyoiset. But I'm telling you, chito nekiboitiatab serikali rani komuch konyaegei Top Hill, much konyaegei Eldoret Hospital, mukonyaege memorial was ngemtiares lakini inye chabocha nelewani siling netatu 400 komakoi nyaege choto. In fact shida ni ibune wo mising. So the affordability and the universality of this particular scheme has not been realized. So these are the issues really that we want to speak into amuin. These are legacy issues. Kwa in arama nenyaji komie kemwaje man. Ako chito nemwache neman koinyakane. Singoendi 2027 korekebishan tuguk chemuch koik kanakut eng kandoinatet nyi nenyone. Amu kinangen ane ngot kotestai Arap Ruto kwa with this trajectory kotun besho mawasame biikab bororiet kandoinatet amu kiaboti kikakikona kandoinatet. Angot komi biik chekindo kamang'unet angot komi kasarta nekitindo kamang'unet wa Kenya kandoinatet nebo sai ko kasari kibire kura kobirchin Arap Ruto. So ameche ya kisachini Arap Ruto ako ya iribe Arap Ruto iribe eng oret neimwachini imanda. Amu number 1 kometinye bundukit neiribe. Number 2 komeleni CS neisuldachi tuguk chesome. Number 3 komami kiy netos iyai kosir tuguk cheiyoe neilipani tax akibirchi kura. Iriptoi ano Arap Ruto age? How are you going to protect him? Unless out of sycophants na ile na chacha. Meto Arap Ruto. My friend, kikotobi Arap Ruto akobor. Ngot komwoise ketu Arap Ruto akibor kainot. That is exactly what I'm saying as a person, because I felt that we are marginalized as a people. Thank you. That was our time. Have yourself a beautiful weekend. We will keep on catching up. When things develop, one thing emanates. Me, kengan gemet. Imaji ke guyu. Sikitaret ke. Sikitaret kandoinatet nemite in that particular code. Newake mwachi ke manet. Sikitaret agiso. Kongoi missing. Sikibiruro.